Welcome to my long-term and probably last review of the KTM 500 EXC. G'day folks and welcome to this channel. My name is Keith Jobson. I have owned this bike for 4 years. I have done 21,000 kilometers and 315 hours on this bike, which is definitely a lot more than most enduro bikes. However, I don't ride it as an enduro. I ride this as a lightweight, go anywhere, do anything adventure bike. So with that background, let's get into my review. Now, if you are looking for a seriously long-term and high mileage review of the 500, I'd encourage you to go check out what Aaron Steinman or R2W Paul have done. They've done more miles on the 500 than most people are going to do in 10 years or maybe even 20 years. But that's not me. I am just your average Joe. I have a life full of normal commitments that does allow me out on the bike every now and again. Regular viewers to this channel will know that I ride this bike everywhere. I ride it on sealed roads, I ride it on gravel roads, forest twin track, single track, rocky hills, river crossings, mud, deserts, everything and everywhere. You may have also seen my 100 and 200 hour reviews of this bike, and in the 200 hour review I do go over all of the mods that I've done to that point. If you want more info on the different mods that you can see, go check out that one. Since the 200 hour mark, I have added two things to this bike that I probably should have done from day one, and that is a luggage rack and some suspension work. I've had a heavier spring put on the back, some valving work on the front, and that kind of matches the luggage that I usually carry and the rack and everything. Suits my style a lot better. A couple of other nice to haves that I have added since 200 hours were the Cush Hub wheels from KKE, and I've got the Vortex ECU on board now as well. Now, as for maintenance, it's all pretty simple on the 500. It's never been back to the dealer since the day that I bought it. All I do is work through the checklist that's in the manual. Take my time, just work through it. It's all good. Yes, regular oil changes on the 500 are just a given. But I will say that regular is going to be however you want to define it. What you are comfortable with and what matches the type of riding that you do. If you read the manuals every 15 hours, but to me, that is not regular, that is ridiculous. I change the oil roughly every 25 hours or about 1,500 kilometers. For the type of riding that I do, that seems to work fine, and it's still probably overkill. But just suck it up and do it. Look, oil is cheap, engines are not. As for valve clearances, what my experience with these valves has taught me is that if I bought a new bike again, I wouldn't even bother checking the valves. They are rock solid and they have barely moved after 300 hours. Now, what about all the things that have gone wrong? So I've talked about a couple of minor things before, like the speedo that just kept resetting, fixed with a new battery, the headlight switch that tends to get stuck on high beam when water gets in it after you wash it. A couple of new issues since the 200 hour review were a rusted relay down in the airbox area that affected the lights, and the fuel pump failure. Now, the relay I did in a whole separate video, there'll be a link up there to that, and the fuel pump, well, the short version is it died after 315 hours, which is about on schedule for these OEM fuel pumps. Now, Moto did a review on all types of pumps. They rated the OEM pump at 200 to 300 hours, so it's about on schedule for its life. Now, other issues that I've had, but not actually a bike failure, include the lithium battery, which I've replaced twice, and these lower subframe bolts, which tend to just work themselves loose no matter how much Loctite you put on them. So in seeking to bring a bit more value to this video for you, one thing I did look at was the total cost of ownership. Now, total cost of ownership is a fairly common thing that you hear with cars and vehicles and things. Not so common with motorbikes, but it takes into account, the purchase price, depreciation, maintenance, run costs, all that sort of stuff. So I've done it two ways. One is the total cost, which is every single dollar that I've spent on this bike, including the purchase price. And the second way is the run cost, which is just the fuel and oil, parts, maintenance stuff, but plus rego and insurance. Now I'm going to put a little table here. The first bit is some pretty highly grouped up numbers. That is the bike cost, the initial mods that I did, the later mods that I did, and then the run costs. There'll be another table with the years and the kilometers and the hours that I've done. The bottom line is I've spent $34,000 in total on this bike over 4 years. If you divide that out by either years, kilometers, or hours, then this is the cost breakdown. Now, obviously, translating that to your situation will depend on what you pay for the bike, whether you sell it at the end, how much your rego is, how much your insurance is, but it was an interesting exercise. So with all those costs done, what about the value? Is the 500 actually worth it? I keep saying it, and I'm sure I'm sounding like a broken record, but yes, the 500 is 100% worth it for me. For the riding that I do, this is the best bike by far. The enjoyment I've got out of this thing is worth far more to me than $1.62 per kilometre. Some final thoughts on this bike. In my Madigan trip wrap-up video, there'll be a link up here, I did talk about 3 things that are worth repeating. Comfortable, capable, and confident. Now, my setup is super comfortable for me. I've got the seat right, I've got foam grips on the bars, I don't feel the vibrations at all. I can do long days on this bike, no problem. Capable, well, clearly this bike will go anywhere and do anything that you ask of it. Its limitations is the rider. There is no limitation on this bike what it can do. And am I confident? Well, I'm 100% confident with this bike. Look, yes, it did have a fuel pump die, but we all know about that. So be prepared for it, and then it's a non-issue. I'm no less confident with this bike than any other bike. In fact, it's probably the opposite. I'd much rather work with a single cylinder bike that weighs half of the lightest mid-size bike that's out there. So why is this my last review of the 500? Well, I think I've come to the end of my journey with this bike. I've spent 4 years, I've been fiddling with it, I've got it exactly how I want it. I've done the big trip on it that I've wanted to do for years. I'm kind of done. And when I think about what this channel is about, it's to share with you what I've learned, right? So I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a racer, got no special bike skills. I'm just an average guy who's trying to say, look, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm definitely still going to be around. I'll still be creating videos, probably with this bike in it, but there's got to be value in it for you. I don't want to waste your time by rehashing the same old thing time and time again. So look, thanks for watching. Ride safe. I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.